What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and this is going to be another one of those passionate kind of videos where I call things out. I know a lot of people have been telling me that they really like it when I do this stuff. I definitely want to do more with it, and I definitely want to take kind of my gloves off on this stuff a lot more often, both here and on Podcast Now. So if you continue to like these more edgy videos, make sure you leave a like. Make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel. We're getting very, very close to 2,000. Let's see if we can do it within another week or so. I do want to talk about the Cyberpunk crunch thing, and I want to make it very clear, or as clear as I can make it, on where I stand on it. So let's start out with saying this. I'm not for working employees to death, okay? I'm not for that. That's not something you should do. You shouldn't be working them 100-hour work weeks, all this insane stuff, okay? So I am against, basic, slave labor kind of employees, all right? At the same time, look, you got to think about it a couple different ways, and I do want to take some punches here. Maybe I'm not going to necessarily name names, although I will name Jason Schreier, but besides that, I won't say anything else about anybody in particular. But look, these media types, these media personalities, they literally look for this stuff, and it's all they can freaking do is talk about crunch. Now, look, crunch in the news, and I think some of the people that follow me too aren't necessarily on board. And by the way, if you don't agree with what I'm saying, that is completely cool. But I do want to speak my mind. I kind of want to not necessarily educate. I kind of just want to give people what I feel, my opinion on crunch in general, and see if maybe not necessarily if that changes your mind, but that just gives you a new understanding of it. Crunch over the last, I'd say, like 4 to 5 years has become literally Satan on the internet. Okay, it's literally like the worst possible thing that you could do is have crunch in your game. Some mediums or some jobs literally work more than others, okay? That's where I come down. That's the biggest thing to me. There's a couple different aspects. One is it's the job. It's the kind of job that you're working. And two is, again, it's all of these people can talk about. They can't talk about anything else. It's just all about crunch is bad, and if you do crunch, you must be a terrible company. You must be terrible people. And your game, well, you might as well delay it 5 years because you need to give the people 20-hour work weeks. That's what people, I feel, those are the two kind of things that I want to focus in on. Okay, so look, my wife has worked in a medical kind of field for the last 2 years, 2 full years, and it's just the situation where she works not the greatest hours. She has set hours, but sometimes she has to stay late. Numerous times, actually, she's had to stay half hour, so on, late. And it's not the most hardcore medical fields in the world. But if you're a doctor, if you work in an ER, if you work in a hospital, if you're just anything in a medical profession, odds are you are going to be told you'll have 40 hours, or if you work on like an ambulance. My friend, one of my best friends was an EMT. He worked insane hours. Now, I mean, was that crunch culture? You know what I mean? He knew going into it that that's what was going to happen. My wife went into it. I went into it, with her, knowing that that was going to happen sometimes. That, yes, you are going to have your set schedule, but sometimes things happen. And I guess if you can say one good thing about the crunch culture is, yeah, generally there has been better, it's moved in a better direction for game developers where it hasn't been as bad. But then if it comes up, like for this, CD Projekt Red, it's like 6 weeks they have to work an extra day. Now, yeah, it's an extra day. It's one of their weekends, but it's 6 or 7 days. They're going to get paid. They're going to get a massive bonus when this game comes out. And that's another thing, too. They're not like poor on the streets, okay? The people making Cyberpunk 2077 for CD Projekt Red, they make a lot of money. Just like, again, if you're an EMT, or if you're in the ER, if you're like a high-profile doctor, yeah, you may work some ridiculous hours, but guess what? You probably have a lot of money. But besides that, the biggest thing to me is that going in. When you go into a gaming developer, okay, when you go into a publisher and you go in for an actual developer, you know that that's what's going to happen. I don't think there's one person that goes into the gaming world, okay, to be a game designer or a level designer or a writer or, anything, a programmer, anything. I don't think there's one person that goes into it that thinks this is going to be the steadiest, 9 to 5 job I've ever had in my life, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. I will not come 1 minute early. early, and I will not stay 1 minute late because you know what? That's crunch culture. I will not do it. No, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And honestly, you may say, well, yeah, Alex, that is, I mean, that you're kind of taking it to an extreme. Not really. That's what that's what the people that cry about this online, that's what they take it to. That it's like, holy Jesus, heaven forbid you have to work 40 and a half hours. And, you know, not to bring YouTube into it too either, because I know some people think YouTube isn't a real job, but you could look at examples like Markiplier or PewDiePie. You could look at the biggest, content creators on the planet. You can look at middle tier. There's people that work a lot of hours. You think people only work 40 hours on YouTube? Now, again, you say, oh, that's such a high-profile job. You sit home and you just talk about this, you play this game, or you do that. I mean, I guess, but I mean, they're making video games. They're making video games, and they're making a lot of money. Like I said, you get bonuses based off of sales. You get bonuses based off of just the game shipping, going gold. You get bonuses based off of the review scores on Metacritic. Some companies actually put that into their contracts. I mean, you know what I mean? So, I mean, they're not literally on the side of the road. They don't go home to a cardboard box and sit there for 5 hours and then go back to work. That's just not how it works, right? So that's what really upsets me about it. And then again, when it comes to the people online that talk about it, it's really a situation where, again, they just only focus on it. Like, if it happens, it's like, oh, I mean, that literally, you might as well shut down the company to some of these people, to Jason Schreier, who literally, you know, he writes, and we've talked about him before, right? And I do feel actually comfortable talking about him in particular because he's the biggest example. He does break stories. He's a really, I think he's a pretty solid journalist when it comes to at least leaks and stuff like that. He's pretty, double-sided, right? He goes kind of back and forth on things, but besides that, all he writes about is crunch. Jim Sterling, all he talks about is crunch. It's like these people, they have nothing better to do, and that's the only thing to do. And I don't really, again, it's not the biggest deal. It's 6 or 7 weeks. They're working an extra day a week. Are these people going to go insane? I mean, yeah, well, look, the gaming industry has driven people out of it because of how tough it is. But they also, again, know that, and they've spoken about it. You know what I mean? There's so many thousands of people that work in the gaming industry, and again, I think they're all very, very aware of what goes on. Now, I guess you can make the argument that, well, Alex, just because they all know that it goes on, just because it happens, doesn't mean that it's acceptable. I mean, I guess you could say that, but I mean, again, is it like the worst possible scenario in the world? No, it's not like they were doing crunch for like 5 years. Now, again, if you're working, say, 60, 65 hours, which I do know there are games that happen where development was 6 or 7 days a week, and that would happen for like a couple years or at least several months. I mean, this is only happening for like a month and a half. You see like Rockstar, right? They're changing a lot of things they're doing to not make GTA such a crunch thing. It's just pretty funny when this stuff happens. It's not, to me, I even see Colin Moriarty, who I do like him when he has these kind of takes too. You know, he comes out and he says, like, again, people kind of just like circle the waters for this kind of thing. It's not a big deal. And that's ultimately what I'm saying. You see, honestly, there's like petitions now of like delay the game, delay Cyberpunk for another 3 years because heaven forbid that they work 40 and a half hours. Now, again, I get it. They're working more than that, but there really is no balance to it when it comes to these people, and that's why the lunatics that are out there, that's why you really can't let them get their way, because it's either their way or nothing. You know what I mean? There's really no in-between ground. So to me, it's funny. I like seeing people cry and freak out over really stupid things. It doesn't impact you or me. Ultimately, I really don't think it's going to impact them either. They're going to get paid more. They're going to still get the massive bonuses. They're still going to make their $60, $70, $80, $90,000 plus, salary every single year, or more. They're going to ship, and again, I'll take it from Colin too. This is going to be a game that's in the record books, right? I mean, Cyberpunk is going to be a massive game. It could be the game of the year. It could be game of generation. It could be one of the best open world games ever. But you put your name on that. Everybody that's worked on it, that's going to have to do crunch for a couple times, they're going to get to put their names on this and say, I helped make this insane achievement, this insane spectacle of a game. I helped with that. And I mean, there's really, is that worth the crunch? I think it's worth way more than that crunch. And again, that's up to the person. That's up to like you or me to decide. That's where I stand on it, my opinion wise. But guys, so in this way, by the way, in case anybody is unsure, I'm actually taking CD CD Projekt Red side with this, where I don't see that it's that big of a deal. I don't want the game to be delayed. Yeah, I don't want them to enslave their workforce to do it, but I don't see this as that. If they said, okay, well, we have to have people work 7 days a week, we have to increase it to 70 hours, everybody has to work 10 hours a day, 7 days a week for the next 2 months to get this game out, then it's like, all right, we'll just push it to like January or something. You know what I mean? But it's not that extreme, and it's also not like it's been going on for years. So guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Again, do you like these more edgy kind of topics? Where do you stand on crunch? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this YouTube channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. And like I said, we're getting very, very close to 2,000 subscribers. Would mean a lot to me. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you guys like these kinds of videos, I'll absolutely do more of them in the future, okay? Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.